Before history was written, before laws, kingdoms, or sacred boundaries, there was a moment when heaven itself broke its silence. Ancient watchers, beings sworn to observe, not interfere, made a decision that would poison the earth forever. They crossed from the unseen into the physical. They taught humanity what was never meant to be known. And what followed was not enlightenment, but corruption. Giants walked the land, blood soaked the soil, and the cries of mankind rose so high that heaven could no longer ignore them. One man was chosen to witness it all, not to fight, not to rule, but to record the truth. His name was Enoch, and what he saw was never meant to be forgotten. Welcome to Hidden Origins, where ancient texts, lost knowledge, and forbidden history are brought back into the light. Tonight, we begin the journey Enoch was taken on beyond the world of men. Enoch was not searching for revelation when it found him. He was resting, suspended between sleep and awareness, when the atmosphere around him changed. The air felt heavier, charged, alive. Without warning, two figures appeared beside him, unlike anything formed of earth. They were taller than men, radiant yet terrifying, their presence overwhelming without a single word spoken. Their faces shone like burning daylight, not blinding, but impossible to ignore. Their eyes glowed like living flames. From their mouths came a breath that felt like fire, and their garments shimmered as if woven from light itself. Great wings, golden and vast, folded calmly at their sides. They spoke his name, not shouted, not demanded, but spoken with absolute authority. Enoch. Fear seized him, but before he could speak or flee, they reassured him. He was not in danger. He had not been chosen for punishment. He had been chosen for ascent. They told him the eternal God had sent them, that this night he would be taken beyond the earth to witness what no mortal had ever seen. Before he could question them, they lifted him gently, placing him upon their wings. The ground fell away. Clouds parted beneath him as the world he knew shrank into silence. They passed through the air, then beyond it, ascending into realms unseen, through layers of creation until they reached the first heaven. There, Enoch was shown truths hidden from humanity. He learned of divine order, of celestial boundaries, and of the moment those boundaries were shattered. In the days when humanity multiplied across the earth, daughters were born, beautiful, mortal, fragile. The Watchers, beings assigned to observe mankind, saw them, and desire took root where obedience once stood. They spoke among themselves, "We will choose wives from among the daughters of men." But their leader hesitated. Semjaza feared the cost. He warned them that the punishment would be severe, and that if others abandoned the plan, he alone would bear the guilt. The response was immediate. They swore an oath together, binding themselves so none could retreat. 200 descended. They came down during the days of Jared, landing upon a mountain that would forever carry the weight of their decision, Mount Hermon. There, they sealed their rebellion. They took human wives, and the consequences were immediate. The women conceived, giving birth to beings that defied nature, giants of immense size and insatiable hunger. At first, they consumed the labor of men, then the livestock, then the land itself. When nothing remained, they turned on humanity. Violence spread uncontrollably. Blood was shed not only between men, but across all creation, animals, birds, even the giants themselves. The earth groaned beneath the corruption. Worse still, the watchers taught forbidden knowledge. Weapons were revealed, enchantments whispered, the movements of the stars explained, the secrets of metals, beauty, warfare, and power handed to a species unprepared to wield them. Humanity did not ascend, it collapsed. And as the world drowned in chaos, the cries of the dying reached heaven. From above, the holy angels looked down and saw what the watchers had done. And they knew judgment could no longer be delayed. If you want to continue this journey through forbidden history and uncover what happened next, what judgment awaited the watchers, and how Enoch became heaven's messenger, make sure to subscribe to Hidden Origins. From the heights of heaven, the devastation could no longer be ignored. The archangels, Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel, looked down upon the earth and were overcome with grief. Where order once ruled, chaos now spread unchecked. Blood soaked the land, violence echoed across creation. Humanity, corrupted by forbidden knowledge, cried out in agony. Their voices reached the gates of heaven. The angels turned to one another, stunned by what they witnessed. The world entrusted to the watchers had been broken by them instead. The earth itself seemed to accuse the fallen ones, groaning beneath the weight of sin. Together, the archangels approached the throne of the Most High. They spoke not in rebellion, but in sorrow. They acknowledged the glory of the Eternal One, the Creator who sees all things, before they are spoken, before they unfold. Nothing was hidden from him. And yet they pleaded, not for the watchers, but for the earth. They spoke of Azazel, who had taught mankind the making of weapons, turning knowledge into instruments of death. They spoke of Semjaza, who had led others to abandon their heavenly dwelling and defile themselves with mortals. They described the giants, born of heaven and earth, who now devoured the very people they were never meant to rule. The souls of the dead cried out from below, begging for justice. And then the silence broke. The voice of the Most High thundered through heaven, not in rage, but in absolute authority. The time for restraint had ended. First, he spoke to Uriel. Uriel was sent to warn a man named Noah, the son of Lamech. He was to hide himself, for the end of the corrupted world was near. A great flood would cleanse the earth, sparing only those chosen to preserve life. Then the command came for Raphael. He was ordered to bind Azazel, hands and feet, and cast him into the desert of Dudael. There he would be thrown into a pit, buried beneath jagged stones, sealed away from the light. His punishment would last until the final judgment, when he would be cast into eternal fire. Azazel would carry the weight of all the corruption he had unleashed. Next, Gabriel was sent forth. His task was brutal, yet necessary. The offspring of the Watchers, the giants, were to be destroyed. They would be turned against one another, wiped out by violence, their unnatural existence brought to an end. Their fathers would be forced to watch, powerless, as the consequences of their rebellion unfolded. Finally, the Most High addressed Michael. Semjaza and the remaining Watchers were to be bound and imprisoned deep within the earth. They would remain there for 70 generations until the final day of judgment, when they would face eternal confinement in fire and darkness. Their pleas would not be heard. Their authority was revoked. Their rebellion sealed their fate. But judgment was not the final word. The Eternal One promised renewal. The earth would be cleansed. Righteousness would take root again. Those who remained faithful would live in peace, their lives extended, their land blessed. The soil would yield abundantly. Trees would flourish. Justice and truth would walk together once more. Enoch witnessed these decrees in awe. Yet before their execution, the fallen watchers summoned him. They were afraid. Stripped of power, awaiting punishment, they begged Enoch to act as their messenger, to write a petition on their behalf and present it before the throne of heaven. They could no longer raise their faces in prayer, ashamed of what they had become. Enoch agreed. He wrote their plea carefully, recording their words, their remorse, their desperate hope for mercy. When he finished, he traveled to the waters near Mount Hermon and read their petition aloud. Exhaustion overtook him. As he slept, visions descended upon him, visions heavy with judgment. A voice spoke to him in the dream, commanding him to return to the watchers and deliver heaven's answer. When Enoch awoke, they found them gathered in a place of mourning, their faces hidden, their fear undeniable. He spoke the truth without hesitation. Their petition had been seen, and it had been denied. They would never return to heaven. They would witness the destruction of their sons. Their tears would change nothing. Judgment had already been sealed. The watchers trembled, and Enoch knew his role had changed forever. If you want to continue this story, where Enoch is taken beyond judgment and into the deepest mysteries of heaven itself, make sure you're subscribed to Hidden Origins. After delivering judgment, Enoch was taken again. Clouds gathered around him, thick and luminous, lifting him upward. Winds carried him beyond the familiar layers of heaven, into regions where light itself seemed alive. The stars rushed past him like sparks carried on a storm, and the sound of thunder echoed without source. Fear took hold of his body. Ahead of him stood a towering wall, smooth as crystal, surrounded by streams of fire. Flames licked its surface without consuming it. Trembling, Enoch passed through the fire and entered a structure unlike anything formed in the world of men. The house was built entirely of crystal. Its floor gleamed like frozen light. Its walls reflected flashes of lightning that pulsed across the ceiling, where fiery beings moved like living flames. The air burned with heat and cold at once, overwhelming, inescapable. Enoch collapsed. As he lay face down, another vision opened before him, greater than the first. A second house appeared, far more magnificent, its gates formed from fire itself. The radiance pouring from within was beyond description. At its center stood a throne. It shone like polished crystal, surrounded by wheels of blazing light. Streams of fire flowed from beneath it, so fierce Enoch could not raise his eyes. Upon the throne sat the great glory, robed in brilliance brighter than the sun, whiter than snow, untouched by earth. No angel dared approach, no mortal could endure his presence. Thousands upon thousands stood before him, yet he required no counsel. The holy ones remained near him always, unceasing in reverence.
Enoch trembled uncontrollably. Then a voice called to him, "Come near, Enoch, do not be afraid." A holy being lifted him gently, guiding him forward. Though his face remained lowered, Enoch listened as the Most High spoke. The message was clear. The watchers had failed in their duty. They were meant to intercede for humanity, not corrupt it. They had abandoned eternal life for flesh, producing offspring bound to the earth. Their children, neither fully spirit nor fully human, would become wandering entities, tormenting mankind until the final judgment. These were the origin of evil spirits upon the earth. Their punishment was permanent. Their plea was finished. After this, Enoch was led through the vast architecture of creation. He was shown the storehouses of wind, how the earth is upheld by unseen forces. He saw the foundations of the world, the pillars that separate heaven and earth. He witnessed the chambers where lightning waits, where thunder is released, where snow, hail, frost, and rain are measured and sent forth. He saw rivers of fire pouring into the western sea. He saw mountains rising like thrones, valleys prepared for judgment, and stars bound in darkness, imprisoned for their disobedience. Each vision revealed order, balance, and consequence. Nothing existed by accident. Enoch was shown the dwelling places of the dead, separated according to righteousness and guilt. He heard voices crying for justice, including the spirit of Abel, whose blood still called out from the earth. Justice, Enoch learned, is never forgotten. Finally, he was led to a mountain unlike any other. At its summit grew a tree of unmatched beauty. Its fragrance filled the air, its leaves never withering, its fruit untouched by decay. Enoch marveled at it, drawn by its presence. Michael spoke. This tree was reserved for the righteous. No mortal would touch it until the day of final judgment. Then it would be given to those who remained faithful, planted in the eternal sanctuary of God. Enoch understood. What was lost in the beginning would one day be restored. Before he could ask more, the visions shifted again. He saw the future, the coming of judgment upon kings, the fall of the proud, and the rise of the righteous. He saw the chosen one, hidden before creation, seated beside the head of days, and he knew the world would never remain as it was. If you're ready to witness the final vision, the fate of the watchers, the rise of the chosen one, and the end of all corruption, subscribe to Hidden Origins.
The visions did not end with wonder. They ended with judgment. Enoch was shown what awaited the rulers of the earth, the kings, the mighty, the exalted, those who believed their power was permanent. He saw them stand before the throne of glory, stripped of titles, stripped of pride, trembling as truth exposed every hidden deed. No wealth could shield them. No influence could delay what was coming. Books were opened. Lives were weighed. Nothing was overlooked. Then Enoch saw him, the chosen one. He appeared beside the head of days, radiant, calm, unshaken. His presence carried authority that did not need to be announced. He was not crowned by men, nor appointed by angels. His name had been prepared before the sun, before the stars, before the foundations of the world. Through him, righteousness would stand. Through him, corruption would fall. The kings of the earth recognized him too late. Terror seized them as they realized the one they had ignored now judged them. Their strength failed. Their voices broke. Shame covered their faces as darkness closed in around them. They begged for mercy, but the time for pleading had passed. Enoch saw angels of punishment moving forward, armed with chains, prepared to bind Azazel and his hosts. The fallen watchers were seized and cast into the abyss, sealed away forever. Fire consumed the valley prepared for them, and their rebellion came to its final end. Then came the flood. The heavens opened, the fountains of the deep erupted, waters above and below merged, washing over the earth. Everything corrupted was swept away. Humanity's arrogance dissolved beneath the waves. When the waters receded, the earth was silent. And then renewal. The righteous were lifted up. They were clothed in garments of glory that would never fade. Sorrow no longer followed them. Pain no longer clung to their days. They rose from the earth, free from fear, free from corruption. The Lord of spirits dwelt among them. Enoch saw them walking in peace, sharing in joy, living without decay. Light surrounded them, not as fire, but as warmth. Justice flowed like water. Wisdom filled the land. The wounds of creation were healed. He saw mountains rejoice. Hills moved like living things. The earth itself responded to restoration. No violence remained. No deceit endured. Truth stood unchallenged. Then Enoch saw the fate of those who had refused repentance. They stood in darkness, separated from light, consumed by regret. Their own words testified against them. They admitted what they had denied in life, that their power was borrowed, their kingdoms temporary, their pride empty. But acknowledgement came too late. The chosen one remained unmoved, not cruel, but just. His judgment was final, and no lie could survive before him. At last, Enoch was shown the end of all visions. He saw heaven and earth aligned under divine order. Angels rejoiced without ceasing. Wisdom found her dwelling place once more. Peace reigned without interruption. And Enoch understood the purpose of everything he had seen, not to frighten, but to warn. The watchers fell because they abandoned their place. Humanity suffered because it grasped knowledge without wisdom. Judgment came not from anger, but from necessity to restore balance. Before Enoch was taken from the sight of men, he was commanded to preserve these words, not for his generation alone, but for those who would come later, those living in an age of power, speed, and unchecked knowledge, an age not unlike the one before the flood. Then Enoch was no longer seen. No grave marked his passing. No body was found. He walked with God, and the world he left behind carried his testimony. A reminder etched into ancient memory that heaven watches, that rebellion has a cost, and that truth, no matter how long buried, always returns. If stories like this, ancient warnings, forgotten knowledge, and hidden truths matter to you, subscribe to Hidden Origins. More revelations are waiting, and the journey has only just begun.